What's up, guys? Today I am going to take you through step by step and show you how to cut window tint by hand. Make sure you stay to the end of the video because I'm also going to show you a few drills that I used whenever I was learning how to hand cut, and it's going to help you improve your cuts. Let's get into it. All right, so before we get into the how-to, I want to talk through different knives that I use and blades that you should use and all of the tools that you're going to need to hand cut. My favorite knife is going to be the regular Olfa or the red dot. That's going to look just like this one. This is the OG window tint knife. This is probably one of my favorites that I use most of the time. Honestly, I have this one that I bought from Home Depot when I lost one of my red dots. If you've been in the window tint industry, you know you're going to lose one of your red dots. I bought one of these in an emergency situation, so I have this. It's okay. I mean, it's not my favorite knife, but it gets the job done. And then I have these box cutter knives. I mean, you can get a pack of these for like maybe 20 bucks on Amazon. I use this specifically for top edges. The reason why is because it has the plastic edge here that you can see. And when you are gliding the knife across the top of the tint, it doesn't scratch. So I can just pop it out one click and then I can gently kind of go across the top edge. So typically I'm gonna use these two, but really this is my go-to. Now, as far as blades, I keep the blades pretty simple. I either use the NT cutter blades, which I don't have, or the Olfas, or honestly, these stainless steel blades from Amazon. The most important thing is that you get stainless steel blades because you do not want to scratch the glass. And with a lot of the newer vehicles that you're probably going to be tinting, the glass is pretty soft. The chances of you scratching the glass are very high. So always make sure, no matter what brand of blades you use, always make sure that they're stainless steel. So we've got our knife, our hard card, and our blades. Now let's get into the hand cutting. All right, so for this video, I am going to be using my personal vehicle, which is already tinted, but I'm still going to be able to show you on the driver door. Now, if you didn't hear me say this in the beginning, or you don't know this about me already, I am 100% mobile. So a lot of the tips that I'm going to share are geared more towards mobile tint, cutting outside. But for the most part, everything is going to be the same whether you're cutting inside or outside. Any vehicle that you start with typically is going to be dirty. The windows are not going to be clean whenever the vehicle comes in. So we're going to go ahead and give the window a spray just to get it clean, just to make sure we've got a clean piece of glass that we are working on before we put our tint. Now that our window's clean, we are ready to lay out our piece of tint. So we're going to soak the window back down. If you are outside, I like to spray this part of the windshield, and you'll see why in a second. Make sure the window is soaked down. We're going to roll the tint out on the window. The reason why I spray this, so now I can get my tint to stick there and don't have to worry about it blowing away. If you are mobile, I do recommend getting some of these wrap magnets that you can get from Amazon and just sticking them in the corner. So now you don't have to worry about your tint flying away. So now that we have our tint on the window, spray it down one more time. This is where you're going to use your hard card. So we're going to tack the film down. One of the most important things when you're tacking your film down is to make sure that it's not moving. Sometimes even when you tack it down, if you have a lot of soap in your bottle, it'll still move. And let's say you start making your cuts and you don't know that the film is shifting, you'll have a messed up cut or you'll have light gaps somewhere. So I always like to make sure that my tint is not going anywhere, and now you're ready for your first cut. So depending on what type of vehicle you have, you can use the factory edge of the tint as your bottom edge. I personally don't like to do that just because sometimes the bottom edge might not be completely straight. It may look like it is, but there's a slight curve to it. So I always like to make my bottom edge cut no matter what, just to ensure that I do have a straight cut. So we're gonna go ahead and release our magnets. I'm gonna start here in the corner and push the tint all the way into my rubber seal. Now I'm gonna click out my blade, just one click. We are going to stick our knife right against the rubber and rest it there and make our first cut. After you make your first cut, the first thing you want to do is tear down and away. The reason why you don't tear up in this way is because if you don't make a clean cut for some reason and you tear up, you could tear into your tint and then you're gonna waste a piece. So always tear down and away. The next cut we're gonna make is our side cut. So we're gonna release our magnet. I like to move the magnet down just a little bit because I can control this and now I don't have to worry about this side moving away. The most important thing is making sure that the tint is fully resting inside of the rubber. because if it's not, you don't really know where it is and your cut could be a little bit off. So you always want to take your finger, push it inside of the rubber. Sometimes if the tint is stuck to the pillar, you might want to release the tint, let it hang, and then push it right into the seal. Now, before we make this side cut, I want to talk about angles. So again, one click out, I like to make sure that my knife is tilted just a bit so that it's resting on the rubber, and then make my cut. The reason why you don't want your blade to be turned this way is because as you go down, your blade is going to cut into the tint. So again, we're going to lift our tint off of the window, make sure that it's fully pushed into the seal. We have our blade one click out. We're going to rest the blade against the rubber and make our cut. And again, as always, when we make our cut, you want to tear away at the bottom and tear away at the top as well. We have made our bottom cut and we made one of our side cuts. Now we have to shift the film to our right and then make another one of our side cuts. So if you are mobile, this is the point where the tint could fly away if you don't have your magnets. If you're inside of a shop, you don't even have to worry about this part. But we had our magnet here. I like to move it back to the end. We're going to lift in the corner and soak the film down again. Now, as you can see, our film is ready to move. Before I shift the film to the right, I usually release this front magnet and then I'll go ahead and cut off my excess here and put it back. Now you can shift the tint just a little bit to the right. Put your magnet back. Now we can make our front edge cut. I always like to go from the bottom to the top. So again, as always, we're going to push our finger into the corner, blade out one click. We're going to rest on the rubber and make the cut. Again, as I've said before, always going to tear away. And then we can put our magnet back. All right, so we've got our bottom cut, both sides. We've got the gaps covered on our sides. We have everything ready. Now we are ready to make our top edge cut. So before we do that, we're gonna shift our tint back just enough. Whenever you shift it back, you just wanna make sure that it's covering the rubber so you don't have any light gaps. So we're gonna shift it back so that it's even on both sides. I'm gonna pull it down just below this rubber here to make sure we don't have any light gaps on the bottom. And then we're going to tack it back down. This again is very important because you're gonna roll the window down, and if you roll the window down and you didn't tack it good, the tint's gonna shift. So you're gonna make your cut, you're gonna do the cleaning, you're gonna install, and then realize that you have a light gap because the tint was moving whenever you rolled the window down. So make sure that you fully tack the tint down to the window. So whenever you're gonna roll the tint down, always make sure that you lift the bottom. You don't want to roll it down and then the tint get caught on this gasket and it's going to crease. So I always like to pick it up in the corner, lift it up on the bottom. Not too much because you don't want to release your tack here, just enough so that it's not touching the bottom. Just a quick pro tip for you guys. Depending on which vehicle you have, sometimes when you press the window down button, it can roll the tint all the way down and then it's going to crease your tint. So always either identify which type of window you have and how it rolls down, or just slowly roll the window down, because you would hate to do all of this and then roll your window down and then it crease. Now that the window's rolled down, we are ready to make our top edge cut. This is where I like to use this knife because, like I said, I can rest it on the tint. I don't have to worry about this plastic digging in and causing any creases or scratches into the tint. So we're going to release our magnet here. With this, you don't want to be just one click out, because as you change your angle, sometimes the blade can slide off of the window and again, you'll cut into the tint. So I like to have it about 5 clicks out. And in my opinion, one of the best ways to hold the knife is like you would a pencil. So you're gonna hold it here, you're gonna insert the blade. And what I like to do is rest the blade on the glass and give it a slight tilt. And we're gonna make our top edge cut. One important thing you want to do with your top edge, you want to follow your cut whenever you're making the top edge. You don't want to stand here and just make your cut all the way this way, because you don't even know if you're changing your angle or not. And so everything could be perfect here, and then you have a poor cut here because you didn't follow the blade. So whenever you're making your top edge cut, always follow the blade. I've said it about 5 times. I'm going to say it again. Always, always, always tear up and away. Make sure it's folded, tear up and away. So we have our tint cut. Now we have to take the tint and put it on the peel board. We're going to round out our corners and then you are done. So now we're going to finish off our corners. So it's pretty much just connecting the cuts. You can use, either your hard card, and that's probably one of the safest things because it's going to give you a straight edge, or you could use a ruler, whatever makes you feel comfortable. As you cut and over time, as you get comfortable, you'll be able to just kind of do it without using any of the tools. Actually, for the sake of the video, I am going to use the hard card. I'm going to line it up, make sure it's straight. Continue our cut here. Continue our cut so it's a point. Now that I have the two edges met, I like to put my finger here on the corner, rest the blade kind of on my finger, and then round out that corner also. And then you're going to do the same thing with all of the other corners. All right, y'all, and here is our finished product. Now, hand cutting, although it does take time to get comfortable with, once you do, it's honestly very easy to do. Sometimes, depending on the year, make, and model of the car, it's honestly a little quicker. And, let's say your plotter doesn't have the pattern, you can just pull out your blade and you can get a perfect cut every single time. Now, as promised, I did tell you guys I would show you the best way that I recommend to practice and the way that I learned from doing Tint School online. Shout out Elliot if you're seeing this. This is the best way that I was taught to practice your side cuts and your top cuts. Now, let's say you're a beginner and you are not really happy with your top cuts, or you're someone that's been tinting for a while and you just want to practice. Instead of wasting a whole roll of film trying to practice on one window, use that same piece that you had before and just keep recutting. So you're gonna spray your window back down, put the tint right back on the window, slide it up just a little bit. Don't tack the whole thing, just tack just the top. And make another cut. You can tear that one away. Spray it back down. Slide it up. Tack it down. And make another cut. Eventually you'll get to a point where you're comfortable, but this is the best way. You can get, 30 cuts out of this one piece of tint. You can do it on the sides, you can do it on the bottom, the top edge cut, but this is a way for you to practice every single day. The way I started is I would get up in the morning, and before I did my tint jobs, I would do this, practice my top edge cuts, and then by the time I got to my appointment, I was ready to go. All right, guys, you can officially say now you know how to hand cut tint. So make sure you get your practice in, get those reps in before you do it on a customer's car. That way you're prepared and you can offer a quality tint service. This plotter back here gets Employee of the Month every single month. But even on the times that it does not want to work, pull out the hand plotter and still provide a quality service for my customers, and you can do the same. I'll catch you guys on the next video.